within a cemetery. I will fight, never wary, I wanna be legendary. Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery. I will fight, never wary, I wanna be legendary.
Alright, and here we have him, Mark Porter. How are you, mate?
Hey, Rocco.
Yeah,
I'm well, thanks. I'm
Ports.
well. Hey, Vince.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, good.
Great to see you again.
Yeah, good to be here with
Actually,
you both.
is Ports the only nickname you ever had, or did you have another one?
Oh, wow. We're straight into it. Right. Well, there was...
Do you remember?
Yeah. Well, Rex Hunt used to call me the concierge.
Oh, that's right.
That's right, the concierge.
Yes. And David Parkin, he called me portholes, like like the portholes on the boat. Yeah. So I didn't know what he was calling me for a little while. I didn't want to ask him. I was happy that he was just acknowledging me that I was at the club. So
maybe you should have played for Port Adelaide.
perhaps. Yeah, very good.
Anyway.
Very good. Vince.
Anyway,
Hey, you know, when you were young, were you always the tallest in your class?
Interesting.
Or in the footy team.
Rocco, yeah. Well, I grew up in country Victoria, so a place called King Valley, which is sort of south of Wangaratta up in the northeast. So country Victoria, small population. So, if you imagine, a boy who ends up being nearly 200 metres tall, he's going to be one of the taller kids going around, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But funny you ask, because I actually had a good mate of mine who played a couple of games at Melbourne Football Club, Lee Newton. He played played about 15 games. Yeah. But Lee, so he's 1 year older than me, but almost the same height. So, two kids playing in the local footy team up there at sort of pretty good height.
Were you playing the same team?
Yeah. So
He was rucking. Are you going to...
Well, nah.
he was a year old. I must have played in the same...
No, we... Lee was a very good forward, so he played a lot forward. I played him in a ruck and started off as a fullback, as a 14-year-old playing in the under-17s.
Did you start as fullback?
Wow, up in the country again, you don't you just start playing, these
where
days.
the coach put you?
Yeah, and these days, there's under 10s, under 11s, under 12s, up there it was under 17s. So start playing.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're a 12, 13-year-old playing under 17 football at fullback?
Yeah, fullback, because I was a big kid.
You were a big kid, let's chuck in fullback. That's amazing, man, being that tall and playing against...
So who was that for? Was that for King Valley?
So, a club called King Valley, which played out of Whitfield. It's a little town up there, Whitfield.
South of Wangaratta?
Yeah. So now I'm getting more famous for their wines, the King Valley. Back in the day, Fred Pizzini, the Pizzini wines.
Do they make port?
No. Well done.
Maybe they should get the Mark Porter port.
Yeah, perhaps. Well,
Next level.
Yeah, but the Pizzini wines, Fred Pizzini, he was our coach.
Really?
So Pizzini wines, which, we had our 30-year reunion from when we won a premiership.
Rocco, trusted Italian to come up with the winery.
The Del
Good on
Zottos.
you, Fred, if you're watching.
Yeah, the Del Zottos, they're very good up there as well. So, the Italians are doing well up there.
They come over here, no worry. They come over here and fixed everyone up,
By the way, we're drinking coffee here, courtesy of Porter Cafe.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting us into your lovely home. It's beautiful here.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, actually, I think you invited yourself in, by the way.
I would never do that.
No.
But
happy to have you here.
So,
boys.
as a kid, you played fullback, and then what? So you kept playing under 17s all the way till literally you were 17 or 18.
Yeah,
What happened? How did you get picked up?
So the progression into the AFL system. Well, it was just. I just loved playing footy, and I just wanted to be the best that I could be. And like a lot of kids, you're just out there having fun. So Whitfield, sort of 50k south of Wangaratta, so really quite isolated.
Did you actually start playing ruck at any stage before you left that club?
Yeah, late. Sort of because you play you're a 14, 15, 16-year-old, probably about age 6.
Getting slowly taller and taller.
What happened to Rosie? I thought she was going to get put away.
That's all right. Rocco loves his dogs.
Sometimes my dog just sits in the background. That's all good.
We do the jumper punch, and sometimes his dog makes an appearance here and there.
Okay, all right.
But anyway, that's all right.
So sort of progressed, sort of probably started playing ruck later in my junior career.
Yep.
And then sort of age 16 started playing a little bit of senior football up there, and because he's sort of aligned with the senior club up there.
Yep.
Age 17 won the league best and fairest in the seniors.
Excellent.
But
that's great.
It's good to say excellent, but it's not the strongest standard.
Big fish in a small
pond. Big like 200 centimetre kid. Probably stands out a bit. And
what is that? Is that 6'6",
6'7"?
6'7".
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, good height. For a ruckman.
Did you always think you'd play AFL?
No, the opposite actually.
Really?
Yeah, I just sort of thought from up there. We never had anyone from that club that had made it. You're really quite isolated in the country. It's almost like, these people who play AFL are superhuman.
It's so far away, really?
Yeah, correct. But I wanted to be the best that I could. Used to train a lot. Used to sort of go to the gym in those days.
Yeah.
A lot of running. Just obviously, if you remember my career, I probably didn't work on my skills that much. They weren't that good.
Don't underestimate.
But anyway,
some important goals.
Yeah, well, very few, unfortunately. But so.
Finished up there.
So won the best and fairest as a sort of year 12 kid.
Yes, yep.
No one was ever going to draft me out of that competition because it's just so weak, and it's not really compared against good quality players. Not to these are just blokes having a go, which is great. And then the coach at Wangaratta Rovers at the time, which is the Ovens and Murray stronger competition.
Yes.
He'd played at Coburg in the VFA. Laurie Burt.
That's my old stomping ground. I lived in Coburg for 15 years.
So Laurie Burt, we'd sort of had a few chats about potentially playing there, or if I moved to Melbourne for studies, I could, he'd put me in contact with Coburg.
I was going to ask you, because if you just finished year 12, you'd be looking to
that's right.
studies.
You're sort of like, well, what's next?
Yep.
And I did some pre-season training with Laurie at Wang Rovers, and then he made some phone calls, or a phone call, went and trained at Coburg. And
who was the coach back then?
A fella called Kevin Breen, who was a long time Coburg man, and great.
We're talking mid-90s now, aren't we?
We're talking 95.
Yep.
Yeah. So
last year 95. Especially for Carlton.
Yeah, correct. Last century. A little while back.
Yes, it was last century. When you look at it like that,
28 years ago to be exact.
So went there. Again, just wanted to be the best that I could be. Trained hard. Was fortunate in a way. They didn't have a strong sort of ruck division, and got to play first round, playing first ruck for Coburg. Actually, there was another guy. Yeah. Anyway, pretty close.
Pretty soon you took over, right?
Well, got involved. Yeah. And then also I was fortunate. Like I was playing pretty good. But fortunate that a couple of the best ruckmen in the comp got injured around the rep game time.
Oh, really?
And I played in the rep team for the VFA.
Against?
We played against Tassie the first year.
Okay, yep.
Didn't get drafted. Got what they call the Round Fothergill medal, which is the best young talent. There's been some awesome players that have got that and gone on.
Getting that medal.
One of my teammates at North, Michael Ferrito, won that. Just trying to think who others have done it. But there's been, quite a few that have gone on to play AFL footy.
Yep.
Didn't get drafted. Actually went and did a little bit of pre-season at Collingwood.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Really? At the end of 95?
Yes, end of 95. Well, it was actually the summer of 96.
Summer of 96?
Because...
But they didn't pick you up?
I wasn't... correct. And I, in all honesty, I didn't go down there prepared. I went down there in January, way behind everyone. Just country kid who'd gone back home after a year of uni, working in a vineyard up there, doing up until Christmas, and went down.
So after the 95 year with Coburg, you went back home then, did you?
Went back, at the end of the uni year.
Yeah.
because I was doing a PE degree.
Yep.
Went back, did some work to get some cash.
Go home.
Yeah.
See everyone again.
Yeah. Put a bit of money away.
So what
for
was the
next
plan
year.
for 96 then if you didn't get
To
drafted?
go back? And I didn't get drafted. I went back to uni. Went back to Coburg.
Yep.
Had a pretty good year played in the rep team again. We played New South Wales that year, I think.
Yep.
Thought, I've had a good season, but...
What number did you wear at Coburg, by the way? Do you remember?
That's a good question. I think it was number 5. Oh, no, actually, no, it wasn't number 5. No, we got
Can't
me.
remember?
I've got it in there, but...
To be honest, I really wasn't watching VFA back in those days.
If we quickly go back, when you're at Coburg and how'd you get asked to go to Collingwood?
Just a phone call. So back at Mum and Dad's place, and this years ago, Bob Rose, who had some affiliations with one of the clubs in Wangaratta, so he knew people up around there.
Okay.
Someone from up there had said, Mark Porter's come down, done well at the VFA, and obviously Bob asked around.
Right.
He's had some involvement at Collingwood still.
Right.
He rings up our home, like the old phone on the wall.
That's right.
And I can't remember whether Mum or Dad answered it. Probably
It's
Mum.
Bob Rose on the phone.
Yeah, it's Bob
And
Rose
you
on the phone.
went, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah. And I remember just feeling so excited. This guy's rung me.
How did that feel?
Yeah, awesome. And then
I mean, let's face it, I know he's a Collingwood man, but
correct.
Bob Rose is one of the legends of AFL.
Correct. It was awesome.
AFL.
So we arranged, I think it was early December or something. I said, okay, probably a bit hard to get anything organised right now. I think I went down and had a meeting with them, said, okay, we'll kind of come back in January. Didn't happen. But then the following year after having a pretty reasonable sort of season at Coburg again, Shane O'Sullivan has called, who is the Shane O'Sullivan, who's still obviously working at the club these days, but he was head of recruiting at Carlton.
Yep.
And I was living in the boarding college at the uni, and no mobile phones, right? So, and outside, one phone for the whole floor.
Yes.
Outside your room, you had a notice board, and it would, people leave messages on there, or ring such and such, whatever. I get this message, ring Shane. Here's a phone number. I'm going, someone's put the wrong, message up here.
Well, this is
not for me.
Yeah.
I never ring back. And then I talk to Mum and Dad about a week later. I go, oh, did you talk to that guy from Carlton? What are you talking about?
Really?
So Shano had rang me and wanted me to play in the reserves. They had because Coburg had finished. So can you play a game or two in the reserves? We've got a couple of weeks to go. But I think it was perhaps only 1 week. Anyway, I didn't play, but he was good enough when I rang him back eventually, like a few weeks later.
Shattered when you go,
I just didn't really know what to think. I was sort of like, But so
Just goes to show you, return your calls.
Yeah, correct. Even if you don't know who it is.
Yeah.
It's different now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they'd ring on the mobile.
You're right. It was like you only had one phone, man. If you missed that call, that was it. It was done.
It was probably a good thing because in the season at Coburg, I probably had a couple of beers that week and probably not ideal.
Mad Monday at Coburg would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Very. So from there, Shane said, we'll come down and do pre-season. I was like, well, I'm not going to miss a second opportunity. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to just train from day dot. Yep. I remember rolling
It's only a little bit further down Sydney Road anyway.
Yep.
From Coburg to Carlton.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
it's only 5
year before I'd gone to Collingwood late, and it was sort of like, well, you haven't given it your best shot really, and to get another opportunity, it's like, wow, I'm just going to have a crack at it. And I was
What year was this?
So this is rolling into the 97 season.
So 96, end of 96.
Yeah, end of 96.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually got drafted as a rookie player in the very first rookie draft.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You were one of the very first rookie players ever drafted.
Well, yeah, I was Carlton's first one. I don't know who was first in that draft, but so the thing which I loved and which probably the reason why I got drafted in the end, because my skills were quite rough, as I alluded to before. Anyone,
most ruckmen are. Don't worry. Don't be too harsh on yourself.
But without being able to go down there from October and do the whole pre-season and show them that I wanted to work hard and work on my deficiencies, without that opportunity, I probably wouldn't have got drafted. The rookie draft was actually after we'd played practice matches. So it was back in February or March, I'm not sure, but it was,
of 97.
I'd basically been able to train there for 3 months. and just show that I really wanted to give it everything that I had.
If it wasn't for that rookie draft, you may never have been.
Oh, 100%.
Never have been drafted by anybody.
Yeah, correct. So we had when I went down there for that pre-season, there was one spot on the list, and
How many?
there was a few of us training there, and
Any other sort of aspiring ruckman?
well, I think you might have heard this. Have you heard the story about this? So Gil McLaughlin was one of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Gil McLaughlin.
Yeah, Gil.
You beat Bill McLaughlin.
Well,
to a spot on the list.
Yeah, I mean, Gil's gone on to bigger and better things. I would have
think Gil's
thought.
done all right for himself.
I wouldn't mind having his salary.
But he did.
One over him over the run.
Well, maybe not. But he did. I ran into. Crossed paths with him quite a number of times over the years, but I ran into him in.
He's a St Kilda man anyway. We don't want him.
Correct. Well, he was in front of a couple of ex-St Kilda players one day in the foyer at AFL House, and he actually said to me, I got. Port started with his AFL career, but as we said, he's gone on to much bigger and better things since 100%. Then. But Darren Hume, who you might remember,
Darren?
he got that spot, that one spot that was on the list, and I'm like,
Frankston boy.
And I was shattered, and because we'd all trained, and Hume had played in the VFL team the year before, or the seconds and top up, I think. Anyway, champion guy and good player, and I thought I'd missed out, and then this rookie list was a new discussion, and that was going to be the following week or something. And I remember Cole Cadier calling me in and saying, this rookie list is tomorrow, and we're going to pick you. I was like, oh wow, it was exciting.
How good's that?
Yeah. So the first year of the rookie list system, and I remember I got.
And you know what? He's a neighbour of yours.
Cole, in Ivanhoe here somewhere.
In this Ivanhoe area,
Well, that went from
great guy,
went from such disappointment, missing out, to exit, like the next day or
within a couple of days, absolutely.
Wow.
And then it's like, wow, here's this opportunity, and so that was 1997 again, last century.
Now you didn't debut until round 16, right? And that was when Justin Madden retired mid-season. Well, when I say mid-season, probably 3 quarters through the season. Now, had you just played reserves up until that time? Purely reserves? How did you reckon you were going for those first 15 rounds?
Oh, I was going pretty good. No. I was building, and I sort of had these quite good games in the pre-season. Yeah. Matthew Allen, again, another champion guy.
Course,
I think you guys have had him on the show. Yeah, he's a great guy.
You worked really well with him. It's a shame you never played more games together.
Well,
We'll go to 98 because you played a lot of games together in 98, but then
injury.
Either one or the other was injured after that. But in 97, you got your first.
Yeah, so Matthew Agate, as we call him, he was playing awesome footy, and Harry was sort of, obviously towards the end of his career.
Sure.
He didn't play a senior game that year. I'm not sure. Statistically, is that correct, Vince?
Who didn't play?
Harry Madden.
Harry Madden.
Yeah.
I think you might be right. He was injured a lot.
So
I think they basically said, Harry, it's time to hang up the boots at 36. You've been injured all year.
And Matthew Allen, you're going to be our next star. And absolutely,
and I think Matty had been playing up until then, and they gave you the opportunity.
Well, do you know what happened? For me to get my game?
Tell me.
I'm going to tell everyone, I suppose.
No, just tell me.
So we're talking about this same friend of mine who I played football with at King Valley, Lee Newton, who same height, different, probably better player than me, but anyway.
I don't think so.
So he's playing at Melbourne Footy Ground, or playing for Melbourne at the MCG. That morning, Harry Madden and I play in not curtain raiser, out on Punt Road. I got best on. So, good form.
Good form.
Yeah.
That afternoon, Lee was actually my best man at my wedding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so a great mate of mine.
Okay.
Lee gets knocked out by Matthew Allen.
Really?
Matthew Allen gets 1 week.
There you go.
Yeah, and then Lee said, "Well, where's the box of beers?" So all the stars sort of align, and
Did they what? So Harry retires.
Well, no, but then the discussion is with Harry. Is
so he hadn't retired.
He hadn't retired yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, well, Ports has been playing really well. He's best on.
Yeah.
He's been playing pretty
leave it
well,
last
but
You've been injured all year.
You haven't done, and even that day, I think he had, some, he's getting older, and so the discussion was, well, you're going to retire? Yep, I'm happy to retire and give this young buck a bit of a go. Yeah. So,
did you get on well with Harry?
Yeah, fine.
He was good to you.
No problem.
Did he show you the ropes in any way?
Yeah, well, probably a bits and pieces, but he's probably not feeling the best running around in the VFL, at that stage of his career.
I was going to say,
probably.
Man, what is he? 2-time premiership player, 300 and something games, like an absolute champion.
Coming to terms
finishing off in the reserve.
Coming to terms with the reality of his situation.
I do recall him saying to me at one evening, when are they going to give me the sack ports and let you play? He did actually say, he said that to me at one point. So
he really sort of squeezed every bit of juice out of the lemon, didn't he?
100%.
I think he knew, man.
And it was the right decision because... round 16, you get your first opportunity at senior level against the Bombers at the MCG. That doesn't get much bigger than that.
Diesel's 250th.
Diesel's 250th that day.
It was a good game.
What a game of football you played.
Oh, well, I was pretty happy.
Yeah, my word.
Before we get into that,
I
just want to know, like in the rooms, running out, like do you believe it now? You're actually running out
to your first game of
MCG. Oh my God! I think that's most people's dream.
Yeah, it's.
Was it a dream come true for you?
Oh, 100%. You just, as I said before, I just wanted to be the best player that I could be, and as a kid, I couldn't see that it was possible.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, how soon before the game, I assume it was a Saturday, was it a Saturday or Sunday? I don't know. But how soon before the game did you find out that you were playing, and did you get time to ring up home? And
definitely. I'm pretty sure it was either the Monday or the Tuesday. Because,
that early?
Yeah, because... because Agate was going to be suspended. It was pretty clear.
They knew
and it was pretty clear. Okay. Justin, he was just... His body was stuffed. He hardly played that Saturday before. When I've played well, he hasn't played hardly any game time. And as I said, the stars aligned for me, and and then early in the week they knew that was going to be, and they'd come. And Justin had decided that was going to be the end for him.
Was it announced publicly that you'd be playing, or did no one know until the team selection?
I can't recall, to tell you the truth, but
you obviously had time to ring up home and let everyone know. And did they all come down and watch?
Yeah, all the family came, and
isn't that exciting?
It's awesome. Reaching.
How did it feel run through the banner?
Are you nervous?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And, you go out on the ground, and I don't know, again, exactly what the stats were, but it would have been, 65,000 or something like that,
Carlton Essendon.
I do recall...
especially back in the 90s.
Yeah, I do recall being in the warm-up, sort of looking around the ground and sort of standing in the goal square, or it might have been just off the goal square, and a ball hit me in the head,
Is that right?
Yeah. Someone had booted it.
Could only happen to a ruckman.
Yeah, wow. I was just trying to absorb it all. And, it was classic. And I'm thinking, okay, trying to wake up.
Some of the boys are kicking the ball around to each other, and one of them hit you on the...
no, it's a proper warm-up. We're having a few shots.
So naturally, you contest the first ruck contest, How's that? The ball... and then you come running in like a... I don't know. Are you thinking anything? Well, you're just thinking about the game at that stage.
You just want to get involved. I think I can't recall exactly what I was thinking, but I really like the big crowds. It's an awesome feeling being out there with, a whole heap of passionate people about the sport. Whether they're barracking for Carlton or barracking for Essendon, and just the noise and the adrenaline rush, and I loved it. I can't recall exactly. I do. It was funny because I found my parents had just moved house just in the last sort of 6 months, and I found they had some old articles and things, and there was one cartoon of I took a mark of the week against Melbourne in the final, and I was sort of running with the flight, and this cartoon of me, just whatever. And I was showing the kids some Riley. You met Riley before,
yes.
And I was showing off. I did actually do something in that career.
That would have been the final of 2000, I reckon.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Anyway, we don't need to talk about too much that game, but
that's it.
But anyway, so the. My wife then YouTubed that first game, and we had that rolling for a little bit. I do recall not long into the game, and I hadn't had a possession, but had gone up in the ruck a couple, and Braddles gets it at full back
That's
and
right.
kicks it out, and I sort of got hold of a mark, and it's like, okay,
Now what do I do?
yeah, correct. And
I'm taking the mark.
And then it was funny, the commentary was, good mark or something, and I'm not sure about the kicking style though.
Did you kick the ball?
Yeah, I kicked the ball. Yeah.
Well, there was one passage of play that I think was the most memorable of that first game of yours. And it was a tap to Craig Bradley, who went on to kick a magnificent goal.
Yeah,
but
correct.
the tap out was just superb.
Well,
Do you remember it?
Yeah,
I hope we've got the vision of this.
Yeah, well, I hope we have too, because it's one of my career highlights.
I know.
I'll find it. Don't worry, it's there.
But it was just a sensational.
Well,
bit of
it was an
play.
awesome feeling.
When that happened, as much as everyone marvelled at Bradley's goal, because he's a champion,
and he's done all the work, really. I've just hit it in his direction.
but that's the reason he was given the chance to do what he did, because your tap out was just straight onto his chest. Like, it literally couldn't have been any better.
Yeah, well, actually, we'll
And
wait,
it was
we'll wait
actually
until we see the replay.
I think you'll find that he tapped it where he was able to run on and actually
Well, I saw it only a
grab
few
the
weeks
ball
ago, as I said.
he's going at full speed. Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Was that planned? Like,
Yeah, you normally have a bit of. Well, it wasn't planned that he's going to run on and kick a goal.
I know, but I mean,
But you definitely
where
have,
he's going to be.
Yeah, you have a plan as to where you're
Yeah.
going to hit it. And then we talk about it even now with kids' footy.
Right.
There's no point running up there and hitting the ball if you're not going to target it.
Yeah.
It's like just kicking it to the opposition.
So what is, like Bradley ended up getting it there.
Yeah.
So
you
you're
have a hit zone.
So there was a hit zone.
You're going to hit it to the left. That's like a 9 o'clock just down there. He's just.
Do you remember who you were up against that day? Against
Well, it was Peter Somerville, but I
Okay.
think he got injured during the game, and that's perhaps why I played so well.
Okay.
Stop giving other people credit.
That's it.
So-
But that's
You're
interesting
too modest,
how
boy.
There's the tap zone and that. Like,
And then you obviously hit it the same spot a couple of times,
Yeah.
and the opposition's going to wise
So
up.
you've got a couple of tap zones.
Oh, you have to.
correct?
Yeah, you got to have
Right.
different strategies.
So, what's happening? Do you know where you're going to tap it? You do know. So you're
Yeah.
going to go up and you're going to, I'm going to hit it in number one tap zone or number two, and then there's particular players who are going to run into that position.
Yes.
And wherever you're going to go, they better be there. Or
Correct. If you
Yeah,
if you got a plan and you hit it to the spot and they're not there, well then you've got
Fair fight.
reason to. Yeah, because otherwise the coach is going to give you a cook if you don't give him a cook at the
Yeah.
time.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
And
Do you remember how many hitouts you had in your first game?
No, I don't.
27 hitouts.
Oh, career high.
Pretty good. It was a very good game.
No, it was a
for
good
your
one.
first game, seriously, it was
As
a
I
great
said-
game.
As I said, after
We won the game.
We did.
And, geez, you must have had a pretty big celebration afterwards. Were you in the middle of the circle as they... did they do that back in those
I don't
days?
think we did that, and I don't really understand why they do that. Throw Powerade all
As
over
in,
the
first game, first win. I think it is
I
first
don't get
win.
the Powerade either. It's just something that's come into that.
It's evolved that way.
Yeah, I'm happy I missed out on that.
Not very pleasant being all sticky after the game.
No, straight for the showers.
You played the week after again
Yes.
against North.
Yeah.
I
I reckon
North Melbourne it was.
Is that right? You got the stats there?
Yeah, I got it here.
Okay.
And now, did you get injured?
Yeah, I did a calf.
Because it says here that you only got the one tap out. So I think you must
I
have been
probably
early
sat
in
on the
season.
bench. Probably sat on the
You
bench.
did a calf muscle.
In the game, no. Don't know.
No?
That's not ideal.
Unless this is wrong. It could be wrong.
No, I'd say it's probably
it
right.
says then that you didn't play again until round 21, which
Yeah,
is the
so I did a
second last
calf,
one. So you
missed a
must have
couple of
injured.
weeks, came back through the twos,
Yep.
and then got a couple of games.
Then you got the last two games of the season, and
Yeah.
that was against Sydney. And the last game against Richmond, you scored your not only first goal of your career, but 2 goals. that
Yes,
day.
yes. Well, one of them I
We'll
do.
have to get some vision of
yeah,
those.
yeah, definitely. So, Rocco, you go to that game.
We're gonna put it on.
I do recall in one
I hope
one
we've
of
got
those
vision of it.
one of those goals, Brett Ratton handballed it to me. And Rats is probably the only one that would handball it to me because his vision is not, like his actual vision is not that good. If he knew it was Mark Porter, he'd handball it to. He wouldn't have handballed it. He would have had a shot. He would have had a shot himself.
You're not the
He
first.
probably thought you were Stephen Kernahan.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, correct. So anyway, I was able
person
to
who
kick
said
a goal, so it was nice. And I thank Rats for that. But
But
yeah.
that was actually a heartbreaking game because that was at Princes Park. It was the last game of the year, and geez, by the end of the game, I remember very distinctly we had guys that were just hobbling around, injured during
Yeah.
the game.
Yep.
Bradley was, I think his Achilles had gone.
Yeah, right.
And Sticks was his last game of his career.
Yeah, great.
He played his 250th the week before in a win against Adelaide. And then that game was his 251st and last game, and he was done. and by the end of it, we actually lost by 2 points. I think Richmond just came from behind, and eventually you could just feel like this is a big danger here that we're going to miss out. If we lost, we missed out on finals.
Yes, I recall that, and
we did miss out.
I didn't really know. I'm sort of just. It's my first few games. I don't realise, how heartbreaking, or how much you're working, to play finals, and ultimately, to play grand finals.
Thinking about yourself.
You're still learning. And I do recall, certainly the next morning when we were having a couple of beers, or next afternoon, perhaps, maybe in the morning.
2 days before the official Mad Monday.
How flat everyone was, that we going to miss the finals, and we hadn't won enough games, and we should have won, potentially the day before.
A lot of guys had come to the end. That was the last game for Stephen Kernahan, Earl Spalding, Greg Williams,
Mill
Hanna.
Yep.
There was quite a few retirements, and
Luke O'Sullivan finished that year.
So, did it feel at the club like, okay, time for renewal now?
Again, I was pretty new at the time, and I hadn't had, I've had one season with those guys.
Yeah.
I probably didn't really appreciate it as much as the die-hard Carlton people that certainly you guys are.
Of course,
of
course. And we're starting a new season the next year. You get into pre-season, I suppose, and you're what year was that?
Rolling into 98.
98's the next season.
98. So you're rolling into 98. Do you remember the feel around the club? Is there optimism? Is there
Well, you got a new captain in Bradley, and Silvani became his vice captain.
Yeah, I think you got some changes. Personally, I remember Parko just pulling me up at one point, just going, on a positive note, saying, you look like you're working hard. You're not yet. Don't look like you're resting on your laurels and thinking that you've made it. Well, I've played 4 games. I don't think I've made it. But,
no, of course not. But he had faith in you because you played nearly every game in 1998.
Yeah, played most of the games.
In the first ruck.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, with
Matty Allen.
Matty Allen, and
so you two, how did you share the ruck there? I mean, how does that work? We hear all these things today about Gawn and Grundy, and how it's been difficult at Melbourne, where they're basically both number one ruckmen trying to share the load. How did you manage that with Matty Allen? Was he still regarded as the number one, and you were quite happy being the number 2?
Well, I wasn't all that happy about it, but didn't have any angst or anything.
Well, you only had 4 games behind you before.
Correct.
It's hard to demand being
he's
number
way
one
ahead of me in the pecking order, I think he may have. Was he even All-Australian
the year after?
Year after.
Oh, was it? Yeah, good 98.
Yeah, he's
98. He was
awesome
good. He was building, right?
Yeah, sure.
So you were quite content getting a regular game?
I'm just doing whatever I can.
Were you coming off the bench, or were you resting in the forward line?
Nah, mainly off the bench.
The bench. So just giving him a chop out every time he needed a rest?
Yeah. And I think, it's perhaps showing a little bit. Well, I wasn't a very good forward, and Matt would probably say the same, that he wasn't particularly a great forward. And in reality...
No, he told us he was a great forward. He went forward and kicked a lot of goals, as a matter of fact.
Well, he could run.
A lot of ruckmen used to drop back and take cheap marks in the back line. He went forward and
he could
quite often kicked goals.
Yeah, correct. But playing as a permanent forward.
No, he was never a permanent
And we, probably both of us, we just... And I think a lot of ruckmen, probably need more than half a game, to really play your best. Of
course.
So.
My word. But did you feel like I'm part of the side now, getting a regular game?
Yeah, definitely. And
I feel like I belong.
Yeah, and there's no, I should be ahead of him or whatever.
No.
Like, he's done his time. He's playing great.
Yeah.
I'm just doing whatever I can do to get a game. Yeah. And, it's great to be a part of the Blues.
100%.
Yeah.
You work on... like you're a ruckman, all right, so you got the tap out work. But what else we got to work on here? Your fitness, you got to get around the ground, what I mean? Like, because you're an important part, because you're going to fill in a gap here, fill in a gap there,
Yeah, get there for the contestant mark.
Get there for the contestant mark.
Kicker, yeah.
So you're working on your fitness really hard, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. And I think... probably the analysis after the game, sitting down, reviewing your performance and going in with the coach and, trying to, critically review things rather than just rolling along and going, okay, I'm getting a game, well, I feel like I'm going okay. It's like, well, if you don't assess your performance...
Parko still was doing those
reports. Did you get yours?
Yeah.
What was it called in retrospect?
Yeah,
like
I can't actually remember what he called them, but yeah, the voting got over, and it's funny.
Basically, it's a report card.
Yeah, because we saw each other at that luncheon from Parko recently,
did,
and it's funny how a lot of those older players sort of.
There were some great stories at that lunch.
They were stirring Pargo up a bit about his reports, but personally, like for me, I was lapping it up because I wanted to improve.
You wanted feedback.
You're someone who obviously knows a lot about the game,
100%.
and so.
100%.
But I do recall, and I should actually try and find it. But I do recall I had, I was very happy with my first game.
Yeah.
And then I get the report, it's like a 3 out of 5. I'm like, come on.
Come on, I got one tap out that went to Bradley and he kicked the goal. That should be 5 out of 5, right?
Anyway, so I've never raised that with Parko. Maybe he'll watch this. And,
that's Parko's way of keeping you grounded.
Yeah, correct.
Don't get too into yourself.
Correct. But,
did some nice things, but you still
you got a lot of work to do, young fella.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's quite funny.
Isn't that funny, eh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that. Those little stories you say. Oh, look at the report. 3 out of 5. What? I'm better than that.
What is it about these school teachers that become AFL coaches?
But he was a good.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
You
I
love
loved
him?
it. Yeah, and then Wayne Britton, who was the next coach, and I got along great with Brits, and he did some good
Brits,
things.
everyone says this about Brits. He had a great footy mind, didn't he?
Yeah, and he's hard. Like he liked a hard style of footy. I think I sort of fitted his mould a bit, and in reality. He was part of me being traded to North Melbourne after my 5 years. But, we're talking about the ruck and, I've got no problem with what they were trying to do. Like, they got Corey McKernan across, who was a forward who could play in a ruck, and they got rid of, instead of having 2 ruckmen who couldn't play as forwards, either, Aggett and I.
It was a mutual, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later a bit more, but you're right. It was more of a sort of trade of convenience for both clubs. They were looking for more of a genuine ruckman.
Yeah, I think so.
And Carlton were looking for more of a forward that could ruck as a relief to Matty Allen.
Yeah.
But anyway, that didn't quite work out the way everyone hoped. But 98, just going back to 98, you played all but 3 games of that year. And it was a real year of 2 halves, wasn't it? I mean, the first half of the year, you guys got off to a really slow start. I think it was only 1 win in the first 8 or 9 rounds, and they were talking about even maybe looking at replacing the coach.
Right.
And I believe the players got involved and said, no, Parko's not the problem, we're the problem. And the second half, you guys turned it all around.
Yeah.
98. If
I
you
don't
remember,
have that good a recollection of it, to tell you the truth.
That's what happened. I'm telling you, that's what happened. We lost our first 8 or 9 games. Now, we did recover, but we didn't recover well enough to play finals, right?
Okay.
In 98.
And then 99.
And then 99, all of a sudden, things clicked and we turned it all around and we made the finals.
Just quickly on that, you say you don't remember, but even just in your footy career, when there's that kind of turnaround where you're not playing well and then all of a sudden you start clicking and winning a few games, and we can see that in Carlton at the moment.
Well, I think, Rocco, if you had the answer,
I'll tell you what, Paul. Here we go. I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
In 1998, we beat Adelaide in round 1.
Right.
And then we had round 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's 8 rounds consecutive losses.
Wow.
That's 8 consecutive losses. Now, you remember this year, all of the media talk after Carlton lost 8 out of 9 rounds this year before we turned it around. Now, that must have been a pretty significant down period. And then we turned it around.
Maybe this is why I can't remember. I've tried to block it out of my mind.
Maybe. Then we won, I think, another 8 or 9 games, but we didn't win enough in the second half of the year.
I'm just fascinated with the turnaround,
it is a turnaround.
Yeah. You've got the same list. Maybe there's 1 or 2 players changed, and then you get this mindset. It has to be confidence too.
Well, I think when you're losing at times, you can, and as I said, I can't really recall that this early in my career.
But general thing.
Yeah, in terms of confidence, if you're winning games, you're winning the ball, and you've got more confidence to leave your player, run off, make that lead across here, go and help your mate.
When you're losing, are you a bit of self-preservation?
Bit of self-preservation, but
like
also
you want to play well. Then.
Yeah, but also you're not sure if we kick it to the wing, are we going to win it out there? You know, if you're kicking it out there, if Lance Whitnell's on the lead out wide, he's going to mark it, you know, and he's in good form. You know, you know that you can cut, you know, across this way, and the next you're going for the next ball. Whereas if you're kicking it to a forward who's out of form, or so, you know, your halfback's kicking it to a forward who's out of form, or a ruckman who's not going that good, you're sort of like, should I run or should I wait here and try and cut that ball? You know,
and there's that small difference.
So much difference, because all of a sudden, you know, the guy runs off half back. And
there's that link up, like I've noticed all of a sudden they're linking
There's a confidence and everyone's doing it, and you know, sometimes the ball gets turned over at the wrong spot and you go, oh, how come he's not on his man? Well, because he's had an aggressive, you know, run up the field to try and create something, and he's got that confidence, whereas, you know, when you're playing poorly or the team's in a bit of bad form, you don't leave your man as much, doesn't create the offensive, you know, opportunities. And you keep losing.
That's great. That's great insight. I'm happy you said that, because as I said, it's like it's similar this year. Like there's been this turnaround, and I've noticed like the way they've played, it's completely different now. They've got that confidence.
Yeah, correct, and a bit of confidence, and you know, the quality of the player will come through eventually, of course. And the quality of, you know, the support they've got behind and the coaching, you know, at all levels. Obviously, Vossi, but the other support staff that he's got there are all good people, and it comes together. And you know, I'm sure we'll be criticising them when they lose at some point.
No, don't worry. The criticism always comes. You know, that's all right.
All it takes is one loss.
Hopefully, it's a fair whale.
So, end of '98, you've played 19 out of the 22 rounds.
Yep.
Didn't make the finals, but you get a heartbreaking injury at the start of '99 in a practice match, I believe, that ruled you out for the entire year.
Yeah, well, it was a
Thank
funny
goodness
one.
Matthew Allen had a very good year that year.
Yeah, he played great.
He never had any assistance from you.
Yeah, no, I did a posterior cruciate ligament, which is, you know, like in a knee, it's like collision one. Well, it's supposed to be like a 6 to 8 weeker, and it was late. It was one of the last practice matches, and so like, well, I'm going to miss a part of the season, but I'll be right. And then each time as I sort of progressed to getting close, or you know, to increase the load, it just didn't.
Did you have a setback here and there?
Yeah, correctly. Yeah, absolutely. Multiple setbacks, and I'm sort of pulling my hair out and going, you know, is this actually going to...
What does it feel like? Can you describe how it actually feels to have an injury of that nature?
Well, it's a funny one. I'm doing a bit of mentoring at the club at the moment, and Caleb Marchbank has been in my little mentor group.
You're doing some mentoring?
Yeah, which is nice. Like, it's just a sort of a little group. A lot of the boys are originally from the country, like Caleb's from... Benalla originally.
Benalla, not far from Wang.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And, you know, just to say...
he would have gone through some really challenging times, you know, when he was injured for 100%. Long periods of time.
Because you just want to be out there playing, and sometimes setback after setback, you know, it just...
So you can relate to that. 100%. You can talk to him about how it feels, because you've been through
and
it
you
too.
just, you know, and so, after that sort of year of... Well, it was... What's the stats? When did I return? Round
16 of 2000.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Really, there was 22
almost
plus
2 years.
15 is 37 matches you basically missed.
Yeah. So I ended up the following year having a couple of other setbacks, and the knee still wasn't 100%. So I didn't play
until
almost
worse than an ACL for the amount of time that you were out.
Who's mentoring you at this stage?
Well, this is it. You have your ups
Madden?
and downs. I remember. Well, I do actually remember one night after training going out there, and it was just no good, and being on the physio bench, and I was actually in tears. Like I was, you know, shattered, and Kudik just walked in. It was and you know, and he had a bit of a chat, but he, you know, rang me later, and you know, you have your ups and downs in footy. And
what did he like?
Well, just, you know, stick by it. I can see you're hurting, and you know.
What year was this? 2000?
99.
Well, that's funny, but then
start of 2000.
His injuries after that.
Well, that's the irony is that you know, he was consoling you. Little did he know that he was going to have to go through similar things.
Oh, 100%. You know, just to see that people are supporting you, and
they care.
You know, and you know, I guess this is where the challenge of loving football, and that's all you want to do, but also having a few other things in your life as well. You know, it helps you sort of balance out a bit. So you know,
if it's all focused on footy, I mean, it can get you down if that's all.
It's like having all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, like really. Injury, which is out of your control, and sometimes your form also is a bit. You know, you're trying hard, but for whatever reason, you're not playing your best, and it's like. You go home, you're thinking about the game, and it's like you need a bit of a circuit breaker and some other things in life. And
Parko was good at that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he encouraged it for sure.
Encouraged it,
and it's probably funny because it was at that era So when I started with my first pre-season, we would go to training at 4:30 in the afternoon for pre-season, 3 days a week.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there were these weight sessions where you had to, I think the gym opened at 6 or 6:30.
Yeah.
And you had to get in there and you did your program whenever,
Yeah.
but you had to be in there by 7:30. So some of the guys who weren't doing anything else at the time, they'd arrive at 7:29, and I would basically be leaving because I was heading off to uni or to do some other stuff.
You'd already done your session.
But yeah, and then probably by about 99, we were full time. So it was a real quick transition
Yes.
from
So
97.
you were in that between. You
and
saw
it was,
both.
yeah, so it was great because I basically had my PE degree finished, at that
So
point.
can I ask you, 1999, so you had to sit out the whole year,
Well,
and you would have been observing Matthew Allen at the peak of his powers,
Yeah.
basically, only a couple of votes off winning a Brownlow medal.
Yep.
He won our best and fairest that year as number one ruckman.
Yep.
Great year. How did that make you? Did that inspire you, or did that make you feel worse, the fact that you were out with this injury, and did it make you feel down?
I don't think that I was really focused on him. It was good to see the boys, playing well.
And how did it make you feel missing out on that grand final? Because that was the only grand final we played in your time.
Yeah, that was hard. Yeah, and because I think going into the grand final week, I think I was the only of the sort of senior types that were injured, like unavailable.
Yes.
So it was, it's hard. But and that's the only opportunity that I could have ever had.
But you don't know that at the time.
No, correct.
Were you at
That's
the ground when we played the 99 preliminary final against Essendon? When we won by a point?
Yeah, of course.
Were you just as excited?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're excited for your team. Of course, you're a part of it. Even though you're not going to
And when they
play.
run out on grand final day, is there a little bit of envy there that I wish I was out there?
Oh, for sure.
There has to be.
Yeah,
There
that's
has
right.
to be.
That's what you're aspiring to do.
Knowing you're the type of guy that would have been, cheering them on and hoping that they win.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, that's
because some
my
players
team.
have told us that there's a little tinge of, I'm not there, geez.
Nah.
I'd hate to miss out if they win, sort of feeling,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Nah,
you're
I
not that
can't say.
type, I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that doesn't surprise me.
I don't think so.
That's not in you.
That's it. So there's a few more years then after that, like there would have been 2000.
Well, 2000, you came back. We were having another great season in terms of. I think we had a stretch there of 13 wins in a row in the year 2000.
Yep.
You came back during that period, and you had played in that big blockbuster against Essendon at the MCG that night, where I think they'd had 18 or 19 in a row or something like that, or maybe even 20.
Yeah.
And we'd had 13, and the two teams met. And Cooter and Braddles both got injured early in that game. And
Did we have a withdrawal as well? Like, was one of our boys unavailable?
I can't remember that, but I do remember Cooter doing his knee and Bradley doing a hamstring, and they didn't play for the whole of the final series.
Oh, yeah. I remember one Friday night when Chris Massey played on Scotty Lucas.
Yeah. Jeez, that would have been a challenge.
Yeah, well, and Trent Houghton
Who
played.
decided on that?
Well, I can't remember exactly.
Talk about a mismatch.
It was a real, we had a number of players out.
Yeah.
And it was like, we're rolling into this game, and no one's giving us a chance.
Undermanned, yeah.
Yeah, and we rolled them. And it was like, Trent Houghton played really well, pinch hit, and I think I kicked a goal,
It wasn't that match.
in my career.
I don't think it was that match.
No. You got the stats there.
Well, I know the round 20 game we lost because of those two injuries to Cooter and Bradley.
We weren't the same
stunned us.
after
And
that.
after that,
in the finals, I
we
think
played them in
Sauce got
we
injured.
played them in the preliminary.
Yeah.
Because we actually won we lost our first final, as you mentioned, against Melbourne. Then we beat Brisbane in a semi-final. That's when Sauce did his hamstring off the bone.
In the third quarter or something.
Yeah.
I remember rolling.
So we lost Bradley,
walking into the three-quarter time huddle.
Silvani.
Three-quarter time huddle, and Sauce has just been injured, and it's like, well, we're miles ahead. We're going to win this game,
but next week
what can we do from here?
No, that's
I remember
we played
that
Essendon
feeling.
again. Now, this is the 1 year after we beat them by a point, and they exacted their revenge.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the season.
Yeah.
But you'd at least come back at that stage and played a good... I
think I played 10
what is
games
it,
or something.
10 games or something?
Yeah, so I was
10
feeling
games.
pretty good. Oh, getting back into it was good. Nice to be a part of it. But, it's
Played
still
a couple
hungry.
of finals.
Yeah, exciting
That
time.
was your first couple of finals? 2 or 3 finals?
Yeah, that year, I think.
Melbourne, Brisbane, and then Essendon. Yeah, you played your first 3 finals.
Is it different final?
Well, the great thing about Carlton is that you play big games. Like you have those big crowds at the MCG. But I think the final still does lift a little bit more.
I did have someone say to me this year, and it was my son, he said to me, he goes, and I go, in finals it's different. He goes, yeah, but we're used to playing big games. I go, yeah, you're probably right.
But there's definitely an element of preparing, but you know.
It's still that next...
Yeah.
It's mentally, you know that it's... finals or bust.
It's always, and it's just that little bit higher tempo. It's sort of funny how you go, we're playing a practice match. It's not going to be as full on.
Yeah.
And they're not. For whatever reason, people are... and then we go, you go to the round one.
Next level.
Round one, it's, whatever, blockbuster games, whatever. And then finals, it's like...
So it's that next level. I think it has to be...
You think blokes are... Well, I think just the intensity lifts.
Full ball, that's why.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So then, 2001... Now, at this stage, David Parkin has retired from coaching. He's gone after 10 years of coaching us in a row between 91 and 2000. Mm-hmm. And Wayne Britton officially takes over, although he had effectively taken over a good year or two before that in terms of match day. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yep. So he officially takes over as our coach in 2001. We had a pretty good year. Be fair to say, not as good as 99 and 2000, but a reasonable year.
Yep.
We played. You played a lot of games. You played all 22. In fact, you played 22 out of a possible 24. So another good, consistent year. Matty Allen was largely not playing that year, wasn't he? You pretty much took over the number one ruck.
Well, he must have had a few injuries because
he had some injuries.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been on form. He was a good, good player.
He had about 3 years there where he only played 6 games, 4 games, 8 games.
I think after I was traded, unfortunately for him, he had a bad run with injuries as well. Yeah.
So that was your last year at Carlton. Not a bad time to get out, actually, at the end of 2001, because we won a wooden spoon.
Well, you had a shocking run again with injuries, and I actually felt sorry for Brits, and and I got a lot of respect for him, even though he did trade.
Most of the year,
though he did trade me.
He must have had a fair bit of faith in you to keep playing you in first ruck. 2001.
But as we sort of talked about before, it was more a case of Matthew Allen and Mark Porter are ruckman. Corey McKernan's a very good forward ruckman.
I think you'll find that Corey McKernan too was looking to move because his relationship with Dennis Pagan wasn't exactly fantastic.
Maybe you're saying that. I'm not saying that.
He was more than conducive to moving.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I think he was looking for a move.
When so the end of that year. What's the conversation?
Well, it's a tricky one. And you go.
Did you know? Did you have a feeling?
Well, this is.
Oh, there you go. All right, let's do it.
Tell us a story.
We're still recording, aren't we?
Yeah.
Of course we are.
And this is where I guess there is a level of frustration with club loyalty, and like I was out of contract the year before, had a couple of clubs that were a little bit interested. I'm like, no, I want to play at Carlton. No, I love it here. Nah.
Loyal, that's it,
And then 12 months later, it's like, there's rumours Corey McKernan's going to come and Mark Porter's going to get traded to North Melbourne. And we're like...
But no one had asked you anything.
No, but also when my manager rings the club, they go, no, it's all rumours. And that's the way they play it.
Deny everything until it's done. Then all of a sudden, guess what? Yes, we did it.
Yeah, and then seriously, and then Brits rings, and so this was a few days before all that sort of happened, and Brits rings, I need to come and talk to you. And again,
did you know?
I got respect for the man because he wanted to come.
Did he put it to you the right way? Like, did he say, look, we did this because we need a forward who's more of a relief.
Well, in hindsight, you can see that, but at the time, you're like,
how did you feel when they told you? Did you feel betrayed?
Well, you're using those words, Vince.
Use these words.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is you showed some loyalty when you could have left.
Yeah, you're disappointed, for sure. And then it's just sort of like...
Disappointed rather than betrayed, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I was lucky in a way later on that... because I did some work for the Players Association, and so I hadn't been back to Carlton, and post-footy I was working for the AFL Players Association, and I had to go to Carlton.
That's right.
And it was awesome. You go back, you see the people, the people are good. Yeah. I ran into Wayne Britton at Brisbane Lions when he was working up there, and spoke to him about it all, and, we may not have had those conversations if I just hadn't have been, around there. That's and you sort of still could be bitter and twisted old man, and... you've got great friends, and
Well, I'll tell you one
on.
thing. You were much loved at Carlton. All the Carlton supporters. No, I'm serious. Carlton supporters loved you because you were honest as the day was long. They could see that you were a trier, you put in. I mean, there was one season there where you laid something like 46 tackles in the whole. I mean, that was for the amount of games that you played, that was pretty darn good for a ruckman.
Right.
And we felt like, you're one of these guys who might not be blessed with all of the skills in the world, but
Correct.
you just were a 100% trier every game. You
Yeah,
gave
well,
it your all.
I think I had to do that, otherwise I may not have got picked, Rocco.
100%, and you got to do those extra things, of course. I just want to go back to Wayne Britton.
2001.
Called you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I want to know, did you know something was up when he?
Well, it's already been in the papers.
All right, so you suspect that's what that's
So
about.
when he rings, he go,
Okay, here it
it's
comes.
like,
Yeah.
and he goes, look, I want to come and talk to you about it. And I go, I know what you're going to say, and I can't remember the exact words.
Yeah, of course.
But he still wanted to see you
and he
face
still
to face.
came out, 100%.
I
which is
respect
awesome.
that because a lot of people do things on phone calls or text messages,
or get
even
such
these
and
days.
such to
or
do
get
it.
someone else to do the dirty
Yeah,
work.
and Brits
He
was
at least was prepared to eyeball you and tell you straight.
Correct.
You've got to
that's
respect
great.
him for that.
Oh, I don't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But you
conversation
had a fairly
out
good
the
year.
front.
You had a fairly good year, 2001.
Yeah.
I just want to get back
and
to
the
this
club did.
conversation, right? I've been trying to get to this conversation for
All right,
like
go
10
on, right.
minutes.
Right.
What happened? Like, what does he say? I know you don't know exactly, but he comes over and he goes, listen.
Look, I think it was pretty short, Rocco, to tell you the truth, because, it'd been in the papers that I'm
Yeah.
going to get traded. The club had denied it when my manager approached them.
Yeah.
Brits was coming over here, and I probably glazed over a little bit but again, like, I do respect him for coming out and having the conversation with me face to face.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of respect for him as a bloke
Oh,
and
100%.
as a
It's
coach.
not that, and I know that coaches, they've got a job to do. Like, at the end of the day, we've got to think about the team.
Yeah, and the composition, they trade this for this, they think it's going to work better, and maybe it did or didn't, but...
So then when do you know, like, so then your manager, what happens?
Yeah, so then the
who's
manager's
interested?
in contact... Well, I'm getting traded to North, because they want to do that
Oh,
deal.
that was a trade.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Who was your manager?
Patrick Prendergast and Eddie Mulcoon. They were a couple of guys who had they were Carlton supporters.
Right. I was just going to say.
But, in a way... Well, in a way,
You
it was
had
great.
two managers.
Yeah, the boys went to work.
They were a partnership, were they?
Yeah, and I was in contract because I just signed a 2-year contract or 3-year contract with the Blues, and it's sort of like, well, okay, he doesn't have to leave, so I'm actually got a little bit of a hand in negotiating the next deal. So
that's difficult, isn't it? Because you don't have to leave.
Yeah, but
they don't. Not that they don't want you, they want to do this trade.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to hang around?
So if you had have hypothetically said, no, I'm not interested in going to North, I'm staying. You could have actually...
Yes, but we
Stop
had a
the deal from
case,
happening.
and only 12 or 18 months, or 12 months or 2 years earlier, there was a guy, a great fellow, Adam White, you might remember.
I remember Adam, number 30.
And he got there was a proposal for him. I don't think this is confidential, but to head to Fremantle, and and he didn't want to go to Perth, and he declined the offer or the trade that and he got delisted. I think 12 months or 18 months, 2 years later.
This is the thing, man.
And it's like if you're not in their plans, you're not going to hang around.
You're almost better off to allow the trade and
correct.
see what the opportunity.
But then that's the job of your manager, then also to get you the best deal.
Sure.
To make sure, I got a 3-year contract over there.
Yeah. Were you excited going to...
Yeah, well, I actually barracked for North when I was a kid.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Oh,
So that made it a bit easier?
But I didn't want to get... No, not really.
No?
Nah. But once you get... once it's done... Well, I didn't want to go, but once it's done, it's awesome.
It's done, yeah.
And I've got lifelong friends that I have at North Melbourne that I never would have had if I hadn't.
Yes, that's true.
And things happen in life. And
did you follow North because of that era where all of a sudden
Friday night footy as well?
Right.
Friday
So
night
back
up in
when-
the country.
Oh, so are you talking about when like the Jimmy Crackers and Bill Crackers were playing Friday night football?
But the Kangaroos used to play a lot on Friday nights when I was a kid, and we wore the Kangaroo strip up at King Valley.
What about when Carey and Stevens and Archer and all those guys started to come through in
Well,
93, 94,
they were a little bit before. Yeah, absolutely. And
they won a flag in 96.
And to tell you the truth, when I was, potentially of draft age, I really didn't want to go to North because they had Matty Capuano and Corey McKernan.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
so you're thinking about yourself.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I would have taken any opportunity in reality, but it's like, well, if I actually got traded to North, I can't see how I could get a game ahead of those blokes.
True.
You know, but you know, things happen for a reason, and
you know what? I'm just thinking about it. Like if Carlton don't want you or they want to do so, you're kind of on the out of there, and then but North want you.
Correct.
When you go there,
100%.
Everyone's open up.
Yeah, 100%, because they think, well, it's filling a gap for them, you know, and Wayne Carey had come off, you know, some not the
controversial.
No, just not playing his best probably the year before, and it was quite an exciting time. And anyway,
it was so it was your first year at North that all of that controversy with Carey and Stevens happened. In 2002?
Yeah. Anyway, we'll stick on the Blue Boys.
No, I'm not going to get into that.
We won't know, but we don't know.
I assume you didn't have any part to play in that scenario.
No, but it's still interesting. We'll quickly go into the North thing. Like then you go to North, and like how many games did you? You ended up playing 55 games.
Well,
I know
21 games in your first year. That's a pretty decent effort.
Yeah,
and 19 in the second year. And I think 16 maybe in the
I got
final
injured
year.
Sort of late in the year, and then didn't play again.
You played in the final series of 2002 for North.
Yes.
Because they played one final and they lost it.
Yeah.
So you had a fairly good year at first ruck?
Not bad. It worked well with Matthew Burton over there, Spider.
Oh, Big Spider.
Great
Was
man.
he a good guy?
Yeah, great man.
I know Spider too.
Yeah.
His kids went to the same kindergarten as my kids.
Very funny man. Yeah. So, you meet good people in football for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
So you actually had a ruckman that was taller than you.
You did. You played the same amount, 55 and 55. So
how's that, eh? That's ironic, isn't it?
It
is ironic.
At Carlton, 55.
It is ironic, but,
2003, you played as well, and that's when you had a new coach because Dennis Pagan came to Carlton.
He did.
So you played under Dennis Pagan in 2002. What was he like as a coach?
Dennis was a hard man. And I think the North players had grown up. A lot of the North players had grown up with him, and they knew that he's always, what he's always going to push you to your limits, and sometimes over your limits in a way. But they had a way around of sort of working. The players would work with each other, and if someone was under the pump from Dennis, they would put their arms around them as such. Okay. And I think when he went over to Carlton, no one really experienced his sort of hard-nosed approach, and they didn't know how to handle it in a way, and it obviously didn't really work out well.
It showed that it didn't work.
Yeah, but at North, I obviously had a lot of success.
What we've noticed in our interviews with players that played during that period with Dennis is that a lot of the senior guys resisted his style
at Carlton.
Because the younger ones coming through, they didn't know any better, and they just, like the Brad Fishers, the young Brad Fishers, the young Cade Simpsons, they pretty
embraced
much,
it. This is the way it is.
He's the coach.
Yeah, that's right.
And they accepted his style a lot more.
Yeah,
it was the more experienced players.
This is the way we're used to doing it, and we've seen success under different models. But
then he moves on at the end of 2002 after all of that saga with Wayne Carey as well, and comes to Carlton.
Yes,
and you end up getting Dean Laidley.
That's correct.
In 2003
and 3 and 4, I had played under Dean. Yeah,
what was he like as a coach?
Yeah, like he knew his football. Yeah,
he always had
by the way, I'm not really sure whether I should say Dean Laidley and he, but I'm going to use that because that's what it was at the time.
Dean Laidley.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, at the time.
So he was a good coach for you?
Yeah, he's pretty good. We probably weren't that close. We didn't. As I said, he knew his footy. Yeah. We didn't have that sort of.
Did you feel he was more of a because everyone really used to praise him for his strategy and tactical side of things rather than his player communication and player relationship?
Probably the two coaches I had at Carlton, I had a closer relationship with off-field than what I did with
Britain.
Yeah. Yep. And I only played under Dennis for a year, so it's sort of a bit hard to sort of build that real strong relationship off field for a year. And then I suppose that's right with Danny too. It was 2 years, so it's probably not as long a duration as what I had. I had 5 years of the Blues, and Brits was there the whole time, and Parko, from day one, he was terrific.
That's
so
right, so you had them too.
So they're different in their approaches. Yeah,
Did you know it was game over when you played your last game?
No, because I got injured
Towards the end of the year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Around 18 or
needed
like
I had a cartilage problem that sort of, like, I actually heard it and I went back on the field and it was no good, and then didn't play. And then post-season, I actually had my exit interview and I was told I was okay for a contract for next year.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't an ideal finish.
Oh, so
you're talking about at North Melbourne.
Yeah, they
North
misled you. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, so
things
North
happen.
Melbourne, they say, oh, you're all right for, and then when do you know? Like, what happens after that?
We just still didn't have a contract, and then there was trade period, and then they picked up a different. They picked up a different tall, and it's sort of like, well,
Who was the ruckman that they had at the time?
We had some great kids there. So we had Hamish McIntosh and David Hale.
Yes, both of who ended up leaving to go to other clubs eventually.
Yeah, but they were,
I think McIntosh went to Geelong and Hale went to Hawthorn, didn't he?
Yeah, and they had great careers. Yeah. But you got old Mark Porter and then you got young David Hale.
Old Mark Porter,
at the time,
28.
Yeah, well, compared to them, they knew that I wasn't going to get much better.
Right.
And whereas these kids,
so despite promising you another contract, they didn't come through with that, and they eventually delisted you. Is that how you found out?
Well, I had a meeting again, but
again with these these meetings, man.
Yeah, meetings. Yeah.
So was your meeting with the coach or with someone else?
No, I was with the coach.
Right.
Yeah.
And he told you at the time?
Yeah, things have changed.
You know it's done then? Your career's done?
I felt like I'd had a lot of knee, like the knee had been an ongoing problem.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think I had a lot of years left anyway.
Yeah.
Did you manage to pursue other clubs?
Yeah, a little
to see
bit
if
of a few discussions, but no
one wanted to pick you up.
Probably with good reason.
You then went and played a little bit further after that, didn't you, for another couple of years?
I did. Initially, I thought I wanted to play the next best standard, and I played at North Ballarat in the VFL.
That's right.
For a year.
North Ballarat.
With Jimmy Plunkett, who played a few games with the boys. Yeah.
Number 40 for Carlton. Yeah.
You know Jimmy?
Yeah, I know Jimmy Plunkett, of course I know. Yeah.
Was he in that ad?
Yeah, that's him.
Was he? Or
Jimmy lives in the next street over. You could actually go over and take the camera around and see if he wants to talk to you.
Was he in that ad?
Yeah, that's him.
He was. Because then there was rumours, it wasn't him, it was him, wasn't it?
That was the Aerogard ad with Max Walker.
Was it Aerogard? It was Max Walker anyway.
Yeah. Hey, have a good weekend. What was it?
Have a good weekend, Mr. Walker.
Hey, Mr. Walker. Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, maybe ask Jimmy.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's a good one. Yeah.
What do you hate, Mr. Walker? Batsmen and flies.
Yeah. That's it. So, you played a year there.
Year up there, and then Anthony Stevens, who has become a good friend of mine because of my time at North Melbourne. He was playing at Benalla, which is near home.
Yes.
And Benalla Football Club had a largely homegrown team.
Yep.
Steve-O talked me into playing up there with him. He talked me into that, and then after 1 year he retired. But I went back for a second season and enjoyed it up there. It was fantastic.
Yeah. So you ended up playing footy up until about 30 years of age.
Yeah, about that. And then my body was cooked.
Your body was cooked.
You know when you go back to this lower level football, you targeted?
Nah. Well, I was lucky in that, I'm a bigger bloke.
So it's got to be someone big has to
and there's still obviously big lumps around the place, but no, I never had that problem. And,
you don't get this sort of, I'm going to show this bloke who used to play AFL football, I'm going to show him a thing or two type of attitude from the opposition?
Not in terms of a knuckle sandwich, no.
No, that's funny.
But, obviously people build themselves up to try and play well.
Of course.
Yeah.
You're up
I remember playing against a young kid up there at one point, and he could run, like really run, and he
ran you off your legs.
Well, he kicked an early goal, and then he was sort of full of yap, and then we just sort of had to do a little bit more work on him. And that's all right. I was pretty happy with my game by the end of it, but
that's fantastic. A little bit of a read. All right, this has been great. We could go on for hours. Can you do you watch footy now?
I'll watch a bit, but probably not as much as you blokes.
No. Well, we're sick, so
yeah. Well, we're just fanatics.
We're sick because we're big fans. But Carlton, you've seen them this year, bits and pieces.
Yeah.
We've seen this second half a little bit of rival. How do you think they're going? Like, what do you?
Oh well, they're playing great, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think probably earlier in the year, for whatever reason, we talked about it before, about whether it's confidence or whether it's style or whatever it is, the quality of players is really shining through now, isn't it? And, again, well supported, the people in the club are smart. Things have always got to evolve. And
of course, because it's got to get better and better.
And then, people you keep winning, people are going to pick off, well, why are they winning?
Yeah, and then
what are the strengths? Yeah. So, but, the form is awesome. And there's, winning form, you just want to continue. And
anything can happen, correct?
Yeah.
From then on?
For sure.
From then on, man.
We'll go back to 99 and, we were rolling into the finals that year. We weren't thinking we were going to win the premiership, and we didn't quite get there, but...
That's right. It's funny, Rocco's asked you about the team. Can I specifically ask you about the two ruckmen?
Yep.
Because I see Mark Pitnet as very much in your style of ruckman.
Oh, don't put him down.
Well, no. No, that's a compliment, mate. That's a compliment, because he's a hard worker. He's more of a hard-working ruckman.
Yep.
Whereas De Conning's more flashy and, got the blonde hair and left-handed, left-footed.
Yep.
He's probably more like the Matthew Allen, really. Whereas Mark Pitnet's considered to be the number one ruckman, at least at the moment. Do you see that working well, that combination?
Oh, 100%.
And who do you see as more of our, number one?
Well, I think the great thing is we've got flexibility there.
Yeah, I agree.
Particularly rolling into a final series where you don't want to be too predictable.
Would you play them both if it was up to you? Do you see it working well with the two of them?
Yeah, because I reckon Tommy can go forward, at times.
And sometimes you need, to me, like Alan, he's that big man, and you probably need someone with some presence where De Coning sometimes get pushed around a little bit,
Yeah.
See, I'm saying that I see those two a bit like you and Matty Allen. Now, eventually Carlton said, we don't want two ruckmen.
Yeah,
we want one forward who can ruck.
Yeah, I disagree. I reckon Tom can play forward.
A bit more.
Yeah.
He can do a few things.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. It's good that he re-signed just recently. It's fantastic.
Another 2 years out of De Coning, another 4 years out of Mark Pitnet. So.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you take a notice of your old number?
Yeah.
Which one? Number 46 or number 11?
Yeah.
You wore number 46 in your first year.
I did wear 46.
There is a 46.
We actually did the whole series of these interviews last year based on jumper numbers.
Right.
And I was actually thinking of contacting you about 46, but you actually wore number 11 far more than you.
Yeah.
We ended up getting David Allard because he wore 46 right the way through his career.
Yeah, sure.
But you did that number proud. And
for
eventually,
the 4 games that I wore it.
For the 4 games,
senior games, I should say. Senior games.
Number 11. That's a huge compliment.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I remember I took it over from Earl Spalding, who had that one season with. Yeah. But obviously Bruce Stahl is the absolute.
Have you ever met Bruce?
Yeah, I've met him a few times. Fantastic. Yeah. So
did he say anything other than g'day?
He's quite, and it was funny because of my wife and his daughter have played some netball against each other. I've seen him a couple of times at the netball centre.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which one's that? The one up in the north?
No, this is a few years ago over at Parkville.
Parkville.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's where the state hockey and netball centre is.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, awesome.
So you met Bruce and had a few conversations with him?
Yeah, a couple of conversations.
Did he say, you did my number proud, son?
No, he didn't quite, but he...
Yeah, that's right.
Or did he say, what the hell did they do?
Did
they give you my number? You're a big lump of a ruckman. They could have given it to a backman.
Yeah,
no, that's not the case. But
that's good. So just back quickly, who's number 11 now? I don't want to put you under.
Mitch McGovern.
Very good.
Very good. Is he doing the number proud?
Yeah, he's doing well.
He's doing all right. They've just there's rumours around that they're going to give him another couple of years.
Yeah, well, definitely should give him some more time.
I think.
Yeah.
I think he kind of like fits that back line perfectly.
Intercept defender.
Yeah. All right, this has been
fantastic.
Very good. Now, what are you doing now?
Oh, yeah. Well, I spoke before about a bit of time at the Players Association, and after that I was a financial planner for about 15 years, so lots of experience in that, which was fantastic.
Does that involve a lot of work after hours, seeing people in their homes and all that?
No,
do you get them to come and see
they
you
more came into the office because it was a professional sort of business and like lots of studies involved.
Is it more husband, wife and family scenario, or is it more business orientated and
Bit of a mix.
company.
Yeah, a bit of a mix.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. And now, just recently, Rocco moved into mortgage broking.
Yep.
Which has been only in the last sort of 18 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Working a good team at 40/40 Finance, and also got my own business there. And
we'll put the details at the bottom of the screen.
40 Finance.
Been through the whole thing.
Just only today had a meeting with the team at Great Southern Bank.
There you go,
I know, very good.
Who can forget when Great Southern Bank came on with Carlton over in Sydney a couple of years ago?
The great announcement.
The great announcement.
We got Porter. We got Great Southern Bank and Carlton all united into one big.
And it's interesting that you're doing some mentoring work at the club too. So.
Yeah. So that's all good stuff. It all sort of fits well
Do you get
together.
paid for that, or do you just do it voluntarily?
That's voluntary. Maybe we should bring that up.
Yeah, I think we can talk about that. But that's good. I think that's
very good of you to do
great,
that.
That they bring back the ex-players and then get to speak, because as you said, like that mentoring, especially someone like Marchbank.
Yeah,
perfect.
Year after year, the poor kid, just keeps.
Yeah,
He's
well,
a
you look at
player.
Charlie Curnow, like he's had his setbacks and now he's flying.
Exactly.
Among our best players. So.
Well, he was out for nearly 2 years.
The best player. The best player. I love him. I think he could be
Anything.
Well, I think he could be the difference in winning and losing.
Yeah,
this
a premiership.
Final, to have a great forward there who can stand arm, I think means everything. I mean, look at the great sides over the years, Careys and that, what I mean? So,
100%.
Anyway. All right.
It's been an absolute pleasure coming along to see you here in your lovely home. Thanks for inviting us in. And thanks for the coffee. I still haven't finished.
Mine's done, but it's been good to relive a few old memories.
You served our club very, very well for the 55 games you played.
Thank you.
And also 55 games for North Melbourne.
Don't forget that.
Do you know that the two clubs you played for,
Yes.
if you take away the new franchises of GWS and Gold Coast, in fact, GWS have even achieved this other than Carlton and North Melbourne. Do you know the two clubs you played for are the only original clubs in this competition not to play a grand final in this millennium? Carlton and North, 99.
What are you bringing this up for?
Thanks, Vince, for
I just want
put a damper on the whole interview.
No, but hopefully the Blues can make another grand final sometime soon.
Not too far away.
I think we're a lot closer than what North Melbourne are.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But mate, well done, great career, and thanks again for joining us.
My pleasure.
And look, you were great Carlton player, but now you are a legend of the jumper punch.
Oh, my pleasure.
That's it, well
You can
done.
put that at the top of your resume now.
All right, let's give the Blues a big pump up. Go Blues.
Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Go
Blues!
In a cemetery, I will fight, never weary. I wanna be legendary till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery. I will fight, never weary. I wanna be legendary. Coming out of the gate, I'll be last place, that's alright. I don't work at a fast pace, I'm a steady horse creeping up, straight passing. And once I pass you, no one's getting past me. I see people hit walls and they stop there, I don't get that.